Alright, good morning, YouTube. Been a while since I made a video here. As you can see, or at least I think you can see, I'm laying in bed. It's just after 7 o'clock on Friday morning. I should be halfway on my way to put in helical piles in Plymouth, Mass, right now, where the Patriots, where the Pilgrims came. But I am currently on a medical leave from work because. So here's what happened. I was supposed to work Tuesday through Friday this week. We were going to build a deck, and then we were going to build. We were going to go in and put helical piles in for more decks because that's what my job is. Well, that's part of what my job is. 50% of the time I'm doing that. The other 50% of the time I'm working a. It's the same company, it's the same family, the same people. But 50% of the time I'm doing construction, and the other 50% of the time I'm working on their horse and cattle farm. And they got pigs and all of that too. And I do everything there. I mean, like I said, I build the decks. I put in the helical piles with that crew. We got a little excavator with a torque box on the end of it that screws them into the ground. It's actually really cool. I love it. It's the best job I've ever had. I really do love it. And so I was supposed to work Tuesday through Friday this week because they give me one day off a week in addition to the weekend so that I can work on my own farm. And so Monday I wasn't working. Monday I got some stuff done here. I built a floor diaphragm for the chicken coop that we're making for our 33 chickens. So I got some stuff done. It was a good day. We had a nice dinner. We had chicken meatballs and pasta with a nice red sauce on it, and a tomato sauce. And I went to bed. I was all excited because Tuesday morning I'm gonna be going and building decks and driving backhoes and having fun doing basically what I wanted to do since I was a kid. So I go to bed 8ish because I don't usually go to bed late. And sometimes I'll stay up and read, but so I go to bed around 8ish. And I fell asleep because it was a good day and I had good food for dinner. Fairly quickly, I fell asleep. Around 9:45 that night, 9:45, I woke up and I didn't feel right. My stomach felt bloated. I felt nauseous. I felt dizzy. And I was up from then on vomiting and having diarrhea. So, whatever, Tuesday morning comes around and I go to work and I'm literally throwing up on the way to work. Like I'm pulling over to the side of the road, throwing up, get in the truck, continuing the drive. Oop, got to do it again. Pull over and do it again. So I get to work and we decide, okay, it's not going to be. So, in addition to doing the farming and the construction, I also do a lot of maintenance on the buildings on the farms and remodeling too. So we were gonna their family, their older family, like their parents are disabled and they're gonna be moving back to this farm full time. So we're remodeling the bathroom in the house that they're gonna live in so that it's accessible for like wheelchairs and all that. Oh, excuse me. I'll get to this. But the entire time I'm there, I made it like an hour and a half. And I'm throwing up. I'm running to the bathroom and having diarrhea. And I'm really, really sick. And so both of the guys that I routinely work with are telling me, look, you got to go home. Like, you're sick. You need to go home. And I'm like, no, I don't want to get in trouble. I want to stay here. So we're remodeling this bathroom with the owner of the company's wife. And I'm literally sticking my head out the window and throwing up into the dumpster. And she takes me aside. She says, "Are you sick? Are you hungover? What is this?" And so I explained to her. I said, "It's gastroenteritis. I had diverticulitis, and 10 years ago they took out 8.5 inches of my colon." I said, "I can't control this." I said, "I honestly don't even drink anymore. Like, I'll have a beer occasionally." And so she said, she laughed. She said, "Why the hell are you here?" I said, I said, "I didn't want to get in trouble." And she said, "You're not going to get in trouble. Go home." So I got in my truck and went home, and I literally got into bed and went to sleep until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So the next day rolls around, and I'm even worse. I'm throwing up. I can't keep anything down. Like, I can't even eat anything. I'm having diarrhea. I'm really, really sick. I'm running a fever. So I say, okay, it's a stomach bug. It'll go away. It's a 24-hour stomach bug. It'll go away. I'll be fine. Yesterday morning, I wake up, and I'm so dizzy and nauseous that I can't get out of bed. And when I do get out of bed, it's to go throw up at that window. And so I text them, I let them know what's going on. And my wife, who's a nurse practitioner, is like, "You need to go to the doctor." And I'm like, "No, I don't have to go." She's like, "I think it's your diverticulitis. You need to go to the doctor." So I wake my son up. He takes me to my primary care doctor. I literally get out of the truck at the doctor's office and throw up in the grass behind the parking lot. And then I go in, and he does his exam and everything. He palpates my abdomen, and in the left lower quadrant, where I had the pain the last time when I had diverticulitis, he palpated it, and it hurt. So he says, "I think your diverticulitis is acting up, but I'm also going to culture you for C. diff, which is a nasty little, I don't know if it's a virus or a bacteria or what, Clostridium difficile. Basically, it gives you diarrhea." And so he says, "I'm going to check you for that too, but I think it's your diverticulitis." So I get a hold of my boss and explain everything to him. And he was cool. Like, I mean, I've had maybe 2 decent human beings as bosses in my life. There was Bill, the guy who built the sheds, that I built the sheds with. He was 80 years old. He was a massive pain in the ass. He was 80-something years old. Massive, massive pain in the ass. I mean, he would complain about everything that you did. You're not doing this right, even though he showed you how to do it. It was a pain in the ass. But this man would give you the shirt off his back. I came into work once, and I was crying because one of my cats had gotten injured. And I said, "I don't know if we're going to be able to pay for her to get help. I don't know what we're going to do." And I was upset. He takes a wad of cash out of his pocket. He says, "I got $3,000 just now as a down payment on this garage we're doing, or this barn or whatever." He says, "Take this, pay me back." And I'm like floored. I said, "No," I said, "Bill, I can't. I can't. Let me just see how much it costs, and then I'll come back to you." But this man was willing to hand me $3,000 to go get my cat fixed up. We ended up getting her fixed up. She ended up living for another 5 years after that. But he was one of the only bosses that I had that was a decent human being. Like, he understood. I could call him and say, "Look, I'm sick. I can't come in." And he'd be like, "Don't worry about it." So I called this guy up last night, 6 o'clock, and the first thing that comes out of his mouth is, "How are you feeling? Are you all right?" And so I'm like, okay, this is a good start. And I said, honestly, I felt a hell of a lot better. And he laughs and he says, what's going on? So I explained to him that they think I had diverticulitis 10 years ago. They took out 8.5 inches of my colon because it was basically infected and was going to kill me. And so he's like, oh, that's terrible. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't fun. And so he says, so what's going on now? And so I explained to him, they think it's a flare up. They blah blah blah. They put me on these heavy duty antibiotics, Cipro and Flagyl. Put me on Zofran for anti-nausea. Doesn't really work. And the doctor wrote me a note that I can be out until next Friday, but I can return if the antibiotics start knocking this down and I'm feeling better. So I told him, I said, look, I want to take the weekend. I want to come in on Monday. And I think he said, don't commit to anything right now. He says, don't commit to coming in. See how you feel. Don't worry about this. It's all good. I'm not upset with you, blah, blah, blah. And so it was like, okay, this guy's a decent human being too. And I have not seen that much in my life outside of like EMS. I mean, we would help each other out. Like if someone was sick, they'd call you and say, hey, can you go work my shift and I'll work yours, and switch. Or they needed a day off or something. You'd work with each other. I'm gonna blow my nose. And so that was, my experience in the trades was, nope, you're useless, you're fired. So this guy being like, it's all good, just get better, focus on getting better. That was really something to me because I had not gotten that outside of EMS. And even in EMS, it was kind of a pain in the ass because you'd call like a shift commander or a division chief and they'd be like, oh, well, are you sure? Actually, I got a funny story. We, the ambulance where I worked, it was very difficult to use your PTO. You would accrue all this PTO, and then they wouldn't approve any of it. Like you want to go on a vacation, they wouldn't approve it. So, what we decided as the field personnel, the paramedics and the EMTs, and even the chair car drivers, we decided, okay, we're not going to put in for PTO because if we put in for PTO and then we get denied PTO and we've already made plans for that PTO, we're screwed. So we would just call out. And it was my birthday one year, and my wife had set up this beautiful trip up to Bar Harbor, Acadia. We were staying at the national campground there, which if you have a chance to, please do that. It's amazing. And so I knew I wasn't going to be able to go in. I was going to be up in Maine. I was going to be 10 hours away in Maine. So the day comes that I've got my shift coming up, and the day before I call up and I talk to the dispatcher or whoever answered the phone. I said, look, I'm sick, I can't come in, blah, blah, blah. And they say, okay, that's no big deal. So the next day, while I'm supposed to be on my ambulance shift, I am in Bar Harbor, and the division chief calls me. He's like, are you really, is there any way you can come in? And I'm like, Chris, I can't do it. I'm really, really sick. And this was 10, 12 years ago. And so he's like, okay, I understand. And the chiefs and the commanders knew that we get screwed by the PTO system, so we just kind of take advantage of it. And he didn't push it. So this past year, we go up to Acadia again, and I hadn't been working for that ambulance in 10 years. I hadn't been doing EMS in 10 years. But I'm still friends with the shift commander. So I call him up as I'm sitting near looking out at the water in Bar Harbor. I said, hey, Chris, And he says, yeah, Nick, it's good to hear from you again. I said, I'm in Bar Harbor right now, in Maine. And he says, oh, okay, that sounds fun. I said, do you remember 10, 12 years ago when I called up and said I couldn't come in because I was sick and I had explosive diarrhea? And he says, oh, yeah, I remember that. That was a funny phone call. I said, I didn't have explosive diarrhea. I was up in Maine, and I'm up here again, and I thought it would be fun to share that with you. And he laughed, and it was a funny time for both of us because that's how EMS was. But oh, there's Normal. There she goes. That never really translated into what I would call real jobs. I wouldn't do that with like any of the trade jobs that I had, because you could get PTO and it would work. Like, you could take your PTO, they wouldn't deny it, and so I just thought that was funny, and that was like the kind of environment that EMS was. Now I do have long-term diverticulitis. Like I said, I had surgery. I had a colon resection. And it does flare up occasionally. You can probably see I'm pretty pale. It does flare up occasionally. So when it does, I'll put it this way. I've lost 10 pounds since Monday night. I haven't eaten anything since, well, yesterday I had 6 single saltines with a spread of peanut butter on them just to get some kind of calories, some kind of protein and fat and whatever in me. And those didn't last that long. I ended up throwing those out. So I haven't had a meal since that chicken meatballs thing on Monday night. And I've been sleeping like 17 hours a day because I'm exhausted. I'm fucking exhausted. And I apologize that I swore, but I really am. So I basically haven't gotten out of bed to do more than go to the doctor or run to the bathroom since Monday. I'm getting a little depressed. It's getting, a little sad. Getting tired of watching TV, getting tired of watching video. I want to be doing my job. I want to be working either on my farm or the farm that I work for. And so when I was growing up, really, really young, the 3 things that I thought an adult man should have in his life were trucks, tools, and dogs. I was like first grade, kindergarten at that age, And I thought that's a good life. That's you got trucks, you got tools, and you got dogs. And I realized it the other day when I was driving a backhoe that they taught me how to drive and use. I'm living what I wanted when I was in kindergarten. I'm driving these trucks. I'm building decks and stuff, pergolas and different things with tools and a tool belt. I've got my own truck, and I've got 3 dogs, and it's like this is what I wanted when I was a little kid. And it was like this epiphany that like I've got a family, I've got this wife that I love, I've got this son that I love. That's he's become my son over the past 12 years, and I'm living with them in a house that we bought, that I'm turning into a farm where we grow our own food, and we've got bunch of chickens, we've got meat rabbits. Actually, We've got 2 baby rabbits now too because they survived. And I stopped and I thought, well, I didn't stop. I was driving this thing, and I said to myself, I said, "This is what you always wanted." And then I looked at it, and the other thing that I wanted to do in my life was be a paramedic, work on an ambulance. I did that too. I started realizing, like, I'm happy. You know, like I'm really happy. I got this job that I don't have to be there until 7:30 or 7, depending on the day, where if we're going up to like Tingsboro or friggin' southern New Hampshire, because we do decks up there and stuff, and we do pilings up there. I might have to come in at like 6, but I get up every day at 5 o'clock. I sit here in my bed with my wife. She's drinking her coffee. I'll have a cup of tea because I don't drink coffee anymore. I actually haven't had a cup of tea since Monday, now that I think about it. But anyway, so I get up, I do my devotions, I sit here with my cat, and I get up, I get dressed, and I drive to work, where on any given day I could be doing construction work, I could be doing remodeling work, they had me do wiring. We demoed a room in this old house, and they just wanted all the wiring torn out. So I did that. And then they wanted it wired differently. So I did that. It's all on their property. It's their different farm buildings. And at the same time that I'm doing that, I'm also going in and feeding horses and petting horses and hanging out with them. And I'm driving a Kubota L48 backhoe. Tractor backhoe, and I'm using the bucket on the front, and I'm using the thing on the excavator on the back. When I'm not doing that, I'm using heavy duty commercial grade, like heavy duty lawnmowers, the kind that like you ride on a little thing, like a Selkie behind it, and you control it with your hands and it pulls you around. I'm doing that to take care of some of their properties. And it's one of those jobs that it's like it's perfectly suited to me. I'm not going to get bored because everything is something, every day is something different. And they treat me really well. So I look forward to it. I enjoy going and doing it. It's not really work to me. I mean, it's physical labor, but it's getting paid to play with some incredible toys and to learn something. Like, I've learned all about how to do helical screw piles. And I love it. It's interesting to me. It makes sense to me in a way that EMS made sense to me, in a way that being a paramedic made sense to me. And it's the same for the building the decks. It was like when I finally found shed building, it's like, I get this. I understand this. So I know it sounds stupid. I haven't been able to do it for the past 4 days, but I enjoy it. And it's making me depressed that I can't do it. Like I said, we have livestock here. We have crops here. I've got a early season turnips, beets, and radishes, and some lettuces, some different lettuces in the ground, waiting for them to come up, and I'm taking care of them. But going to that farm, and I mean, we had baby piglets, and you could pick them up and just walk around with them like a cat. Just hang out with them, you know? I mean, and I'm getting paid for this. I'm getting paid good money for this. And not being able to do it for the past 4 days, it's like, wow, that's really something I enjoy, and that's really something I miss. And So that's leading to the depression, and of course, not being able to eat anything or keep anything down since Monday night is really not cool. Like I said, I lost about 10 pounds. I weighed myself yesterday. I didn't weigh myself today. Probably down a little bit more. But I'm on 2 weeks of heavy-duty antibiotics, and hopefully that'll keep me out of the hospital and keep me from having another surgery. It's in God's hands, and I can't really... it's up to Him. I got to submit to His will in everything, but especially in this. And it's a sad, scary, kind of depressing time. I had just realized that I had everything that I wanted. I had trucks. I had tools. I still have trucks and tools. I still have dogs. So I guess I still have all this stuff. But there was just something fun about knowing, because sometimes they tell you the night before, okay, you're going to be going and you're going to take, this truck, this trailer, and do this job in this area. You're gonna go up to this housing development and put on a bunch of ledger boards for decks, and then you're gonna come home. And or they'd tell you like, hey, tomorrow when you get in, take the Kubota, take the bucket off, put the forks on, and start moving these round hay bales, which now we can't get because there's a problem with the supplier. But they would tell you, yeah, now we're using a trailer full of square hay bales. And it would be that. It would be like, hey, tomorrow morning you're going to come in, go down to the North 40, you go up to the North 40 and pick up that trailer of hay bales, bring it back and put it in the horse barn. And then, we'll go to a job, or you'll start working on one of these buildings or something like that. So it was good. I got into a routine, and I really enjoy it. And God willing, I'll be able to do it again. I've been praying a lot, and I'll ask you guys if you pray. I would appreciate that. I can use the prayers, and my family, my wife and my son have been great. I have not had the energy to go out and take care of our livestock, and my son has just taken it over to the point where he's like, I don't even have to ask him if it's done. I do, and it annoys him, but I do because I'm neurotic and I ask, but he's been taking care of everything. He's been feeding the chickens, he's been feeding the rabbits, he's been mucking out their stalls, he's been watering the garden when I need him to. He's been going out there with the stirrup hoe and scuffling up all the weeds when I need him to. And he just does it. And my wife started a new job where she's working as an NP hospitalist. I don't know really what the rules of that are, so I'm not going to tell you where. But she's a nurse practitioner functioning as a hospitalist. And she's about an hour and a half away in Connecticut. And she texts me, she calls me, how you doing? How are you feeling? What do you need? What's this? What's that? How can I help you? And when I first had diverticulitis, I was dating a girl that I worked with. She was a BLS, basic life support, EMT, and we used to call them BLS bitches because we were classless jackasses, and you would date them when you were bored. So I was dating this girl, and she was not a bad person. She just was not the person that I should be with. I'm a very rural person. I'm a very agrarian person. I have worked urban EMS, and I have enjoyed urban EMS, but I don't want to live in an urban place. I want to live as rural as possible, which now I am. But she grew up in Boston. She knew Boston. She loved Boston. Boston was her life, like it is for many of the people in that area. And it just didn't work for me. I couldn't do it. I couldn't go to bars until like 2 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't go to clubs. I couldn't go to just concerts that I had no interest in. And it was nothing against her. It was just we were not compatible for each other. But because I was stupid and young and insecure, I kept dating her. And out of the blue, I am sitting in my recliner at Medic Three's quarters, and my phone dings. And it's this woman I used to know from working in the fire departments up in New Hampshire. So I look down and it's this text message. It says, "You need to start talking to this woman. You need to reach out to her. I think she'd be perfect for you." And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I waited a couple of days. I checked out her Facebook. This is Jen, my current wife, the one who I was told to look into. And I start looking at her Facebook, and she's got a chocolate lab. I have always wanted a chocolate lab because I've had a yellow lab growing up. My grandparents had a black lab, and I always wanted a chocolate lab. So I'm like, okay, this is promising, and I'm looking at her, and she's beautiful. Just beautiful, beautiful, and I'm thinking, all right, I gotta. Something just told me I gotta text this person. So I text her. I say, hey, I'm a friend of Karen's. Blah blah blah, and we started talking. Moving Normal back. Normal is that this cat. Normal is actually her cat. This cat's about 13, 14 years old now. And you wouldn't know it. But so I start talking to her, and things are like they're really good. Like she's intelligent. She's funny. She's obviously beautiful. She's got the same sense of humor that I do. She's a critical care nurse, so I can talk to her about being a paramedic, and I can talk to her about patients, and I can tell her how I'm feeling about this stuff. And she listened, and we eventually started talking more and started hanging out. And I was still dating this BLS chick when I came to the realization that I need to be with Jen. Like she had come down to visit me, and she used the term soulmate. Now, I have tried to convince myself over the course of my romantic relationships, oh, this is my soulmate, that's my soulmate. They weren't. They didn't care about me, or they didn't care about me as much as I cared about them. Jen was the first woman who genuinely, including my family, like, that I grew up with. She was the first person that I could genuinely feel loved me and cared about me. But I was too stupid because I was dating this girl, and I didn't want to be rude to this girl and say, like, oh, I'm sorry, I found someone else. When I probably just should have anyway. And so I broke up with the girl that I was dating after Christmas. But right before Christmas, about a week before Christmas, I was working again at Medic 3. And I was awful. I was running a high fever. I was in a lot of pain. I was throwing up. I was having diarrhea. I was just miserable. And it was to the point where my partner had actually reached out to Jen through Facebook and said, look, I'm worried about him. Not the BLS girl that I was dating. He reached out to Jen, the woman that I would eventually marry. He's like, I'm worried about him. I don't know what to do. So she says, go over and palpate his abdomen. He says, I just want to palpate your abdomen real quick. And he palpated my abdomen. And when he got to the left lower quadrant, I jumped up out of the chair and I was going to punch him in the face. It hurt so bad. Like it hurt that bad that my brain didn't work, and I was going to punch this guy who I considered him a friend. I considered him, he was a good partner. He's a great medic. And so he's like, we're going to the hospital now, right? And I said, yeah. So I get on the phone with dispatch and I explain to the dispatcher, I'm like, look, I need to go to the hospital. I'm not right. Like, something's wrong. He's like, oh, well, then, yeah, all right. So I didn't realize it, but he dispatched Medic 2 to come and pick me up. So we're driving our truck to North Shore Salem, and Medic 2 is coming by us with lights and siren. So I get on the radio, I'm like, Medic 3 for Medic 2, where are you guys going? They're like, and they come back, they're like, we thought we were going to your quarters. I'm like, no, you're in service. I'm driving. I'm going on my own. So they're like, okay, thank you. And I get to the hospital. They get me in the emergency room. They start doing all sorts of films and stuff. And they realize that there are pinholes running the length of my colon. There are a certain length of my colon. And I am leaking essentially feces into the rest of my body. And I'm septic. Like, I'm really sick. So they take me upstairs. They put me in the ICU and put me on all sorts of antibiotics and just monitor me and pain control because I was in a lot of pain. And they did this for a week, and I got out on, like, Christmas Eve. I did get out on Christmas Eve. So the first thing that I did was drive up to Jen's house in southern New Hampshire and just be with her, because she had been my quote-unquote girlfriend didn't visit me once. Jen was there every single day. She'd drive down and see me every single day and sit with me and, talk with me and hold my hand and that kind of stuff. And that I'm having a minute here. That was how I knew that I had to marry her, and I had to be with her and only her. And I ended up breaking up with the BLS girl after Christmas, and Jen and I were, I guess, officially dating. And we were, I was buying stuff that I needed to set up a wood shop back then, because that's when I was getting into woodworking and that kind of stuff. So we went to a Home Depot so I could pick up hand planes. They used to have Buck Brothers hand planes, which actually they're decent. And we're sitting in the parking lot, and we're getting ready to go in the store to grab the stuff that I want, and Jen just bursts out crying. And so I said, what's wrong? What's wrong? She's like, I'm 8 years older than you. I can't have kids anymore because I had, she had a hysterectomy because she had ovarian torsion and all that. I can't give you kids. I can't give you any of that. And I was just like floored. I'm like, I don't want any of that. I want to be with you. I want to be with Hayden. And it was pretty much there that we decided. I mean, we'd only been dating for like a couple of months. We'd only known each other for 3 or 4 months at this point. It was basically there. I said, no, I don't want any of that. I want you to be my wife, and I want Hayden to be my son. And after 3 or 4 months, whatever, I knew. And we've been together for 12 years now. Married about 10. Together for about 2. Dating for about 2. Married for about 10. And so having this diverticulitis flare up and this pain, this fatigue, the nausea, the vomiting, the diarrhea, it's making me remember what it was like back then. And I am incredibly grateful, and I thank God every day for Jen and Hayden. It was this illness that showed me that she really cares about me like no one else ever did. And so it's a lot of emotions right now, especially because this illness is basically what ended my career in EMS too. I mean, I went crazy and had a nervous breakdown because of PTSD and all that, but one of the main catalysts was that I gave 8.5 inches of my colon to my ambulance. When you work urban EMS, depending on where you work, there is this horrible, horrible thing known as posting. So every district has its own ambulance. They have their own paramedic truck. Some of them have BLS trucks too, depending on what that district wants. When they go out on a call, the district next door has to go and post on the line between their home district and the district that went out. It was not uncommon as an urban paramedic in the Boston area to spend about 17 hours, obviously going on calls. We do about 23, 22, 21 calls in 24 hours. Each call takes about 45 minutes, so you can figure that out. Or longer, I mean, depending if you got like an extrication or a code that's like in a bathroom or some stupidness. But a lot of the time, you were sitting in the front seat of a truck, seats at 90 degrees, because you got a box behind you where you do all your patient care. And that's not good for your body. It's not, everything kind of compresses, and it's just not good. And it screws up your bowels, as it did for me. And that was like the beginning of the end of my EMS career, because I was so bitter about the fact that I work my ass off for you people. I bend over backwards. I pick up shifts. It was not uncommon for me to be off duty and a call would come in. I'd be waiting for my shift to start. A call would come in and I'd go out and do the call. It was just what I did. And I gave all that to that way of life, to the EMS thing. And I started realizing that, I'm picking up the same people. I'm picking up drunks, psychs, drug addicts, the same friggin' people, multiple times in 24 hours for the same bullshit. It's not even real. So I really got bitter and jaded, and my life dramatically changed. And I think what's happening now is having all the physical symptoms that I had back then when I left EMS that kind of moved me to leave EMS. It's bringing up a lot of feelings, and it's difficult. But I'm safe. I'm okay. I'm sick. I'm sick, but I'm not in any danger of, doing anything stupid. I'm taking this time to do a lot of Bible study, which is helping. Doing my devotionals, which I'm actually going to do after this. Doing a lot of Bible study, reading, sitting here reading a book about Spanish Inquisition. It's very interesting. It's a fiction book, but it's interesting. I like that kind of stuff. I love historical fiction. And what I would like to be doing, though, is working at this dream job that I just kind of fell into. I'd like to be turkey hunting out in my swamp. Like to be building more of that chicken coop. There's a lot that I want to be doing right now. And I'm adjusting to taking the time to get healthier. And it's not easy. So I'll wrap up by saying this. When I was in the hospital to have my surgery the first time I was in the hospital for this, I didn't eat anything for like a week. Like this. It's like this now. Like I'm not eating anything. And I had the most overwhelming craving for a tuna melt and French fries. I could taste it. I could taste this sandwich and these fries, and I wanted it with a milkshake. Either a milkshake or a root beer float, and they were able to do a milkshake for me, so that was kind of nice. And this is, I've been fantasizing about this meal the entire time. The meal that I'm fantasizing about now, there is a pizza place. Now, I mean, I'm sure you people realize this. Wherever you live, there's always the good pizza place and the bad pizza place. And you find the good pizza place by eating at the bad pizza place and being like, ooh, I don't like this. I'll try the other one. So our good pizza place does an Italian grinder. They call it the deluxe. And if you ask them to do it all the way, they put all the meats, the ham, the capicola, the salami, the cheese, the something else in there too, like a mortadella or something. They put all that on there, and then they'll put lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, onions, hot peppers, salt, pepper, oil and vinegar, and if you say you want it the Rhode Island way, they'll put mayonnaise on it too. I have had Italian grinders all over New England. It's one of my favorite sandwiches. And I can taste that sandwich right now. At 7 o'clock in the morning, I can taste that sandwich with French fries and a beer. I'm not going to be able to have a beer for at least 2 weeks because of the I'm going like this, trying to show you where the meds are because of the Flagyl and the Cipro. And when I can eat again, I am going to go to the little market that's right next door to this pizza shop. I am going to buy a jar of roasted red peppers. I'm going to order a deluxe Italian grinder all the way, the Rhode Island way, and fries. And I'm going to bring it home. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to put the roasted red peppers on it. I'm going to say my prayers like I always do with a special thanks that I'm able to eat again and that I'm able to eat this. And I'm going to enjoy that sandwich with my family. That's what I'm looking forward to right now. That's what's making me. I'm looking at it and I'm saying that's going to be my reward after I'm cleaned out, after I'm healthy again. That's going to be my reward, and I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, I have rambled enough here. I'm going on about 48 minutes, 50 minutes, something like that. I doubt anybody will even watch this, but it has helped to get all this out, which is really why I started this channel, just to, as like a form of talk therapy, I guess, get it all out. And like I said, I'm safe. I'm sad, I'm depressed, but I'm not going to do anything dumb. I have, aside from the Rhode Island Italian grinder with everything on it, the beer and the big thick cut steak fries that I'm looking forward to, I have a very loving family. I have a fantastic relationship with my wife, an incredible relationship with my son. We're very happy as a family. God has blessed us to be together. And I have all my pets. You know, I have my three dogs, trucks, tools, and dogs. I have this little idiot. Where are you? Can they see you? Can they see you normal? I have this little goon who refuses to leave my side. She follows me when I go to the bathroom. She follows me all over the place, and she's taking care of me. I love my life. I love what I do. And I had only just recently realized that. And if anything, not being able to do those things that I love and live in the way that I want to live because of a physical illness at the moment, it has made me appreciate those things so much more. It has made me appreciate the family that God gave me, all of our animals, our pets, where we live, our house itself, the farm that we're creating. I gotta take my meds, I gotta take my antibiotics, and I gotta rest, and I gotta get better, because I love my life and I want to live it. I'm okay. I'm just emotional. And like I said, I don't even think anybody will watch almost an hour of me sitting here rambling. But this has helped me quite a bit to just get all this out and say it. I love you guys. I do. I don't know you. But if you're listening to this and you're hearing me vent, I appreciate that. I'm probably now going to take my meds and do like just a little walk around the church parking lot across the street, because I can't keep. I gotta move a little bit. Like, I'm not gonna overdo it. I'm gonna go up there. I'm gonna walk around for a little bit. Basically, just make my rounds at the church, because I'm the church warden. I check the locks. I check the doors. I check the windows. I check after dark. My son has been doing that lately because I haven't been able to. But I'm essentially the night watchman. I'm the watchman for the church. But the phrase is I'm the church warden, which I kind of like. So I'm going to take my meds. I'm going to go for a little walk. I'm going to rest. I'm going to beat this. I'm going to have that Italian grind with my family. And I'm going to continue to build my farm. I'm going to continue to enjoy that job that I got, where I get to do everything. And I'll be okay. It's just I gotta focus on the fact that I'm gonna get through this, because it's a lot of pain. It hurts, like my stomach hurts, and I'm tired of going to the bathroom. I'm tired of throwing up, but this is not forever. This is a temporary thing, and I'm gonna be okay. And I've got my wife and son helping me. I've got my church family praying for me. I've got a boss who understands and has told me it's all good and just to get better. I've got my animals that are taking care of me and sitting with me when I leave the bed and I go sit in the living room because I can't sit in the bed anymore. My black lab, Greta, my little baby, she comes and sits with me. I don't do well with downtime like this because I feel weak. I feel useless. And I don't like feeling that way because that's how I was made to feel quite a bit when I was growing up. And I actually had, I won't get into it because I'm going on an hour now. Had a dream last night where I, for some reason, met up with my father and my mother. My father's been dead for about 5 years now. And I just got into a big argument with my father and basically told him, you know, this is what you did to me. This is how you treated me. This is blah, 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 blah. And of course, in the dream, none of it like registered with him. But I think the purpose of the dream was just for me to tell him. So I had that dream last night, so that's kind of messing with my head a little bit too. But like I said, I'm safe. I'm not going to hurt myself. I'm not going to do any of that. And the only reason I tell you this is because I know that if there is anyone who is even remotely like me, seeing a video like this, you're probably going to be worried about me. Don't be worried about me. Pray that I get better. Pray that I get to enjoy this life that God has given me in the way that I was enjoying it before this happened. And if you get a chance, get an Italian grinder. Get an Italian grinder with everything on it. Get a big plate of fries and get a 6-pack of Scheinerbach. Have a couple of beers. Savor that Italian grinder. Have them put mayonnaise and oil and vinegar on it and go get yourself some roasted red peppers and put that on there too. Enjoy that meal. Enjoy it for me. And know that when I'm better, that's what I'm going to be eating. I love all of you. I'm grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for this way to just get my thoughts and feelings out, even if nobody watches it. I hope that your lives are as touched by God as mine is, and that He has saved you from your own stupidity and given you what you wanted. In my case, it was trucks, tools, and dogs, and a dark-haired wife with glasses and dark eyes. I'm crying now because I'm really just grateful for everything that I have. I'm going to get better. I'm going to eat that friggin' grinder. My wife and I are going to continue to be happy. We're going to help my son figure out his future. Anyway, it's been about an hour. If you've watched this, if anyone has watched this, I thank you. And I hope that wherever you are, you're comfortable, and that God is with you and as present in your life as He is in mine. I'll make another video soon. I'll see you guys.